Internal combustion engines are much more complex than electric motors, making it harder for them to generate high amounts of power. As demonstrated by the 2011 horsepower Lotus Evija, the most powerful cars of the near future will be EVs, but remarkable feats have still been achieved with gasoline or diesel engines. Here we examine 20 examples of the most powerful engines created in the United States, all available in non-commercial cars or trucks sold to the public for road use, so no 11,000 horsepower top-fuel dragsters, for example. They are listed in ascending order of their power, understanding that the switch from gross to net horsepower occurred in 1972, which significantly blurred the lines. Only the most powerful unit from each engine family is included. This means that what you're about to read is not a typical top 20, as many engines were omitted due to being less powerful than close relatives, but this adds variety, and we all love variety. Chrysler Firepower 390 GP gross. The Firepower was the first of 3 generations of Chrysler 5.8 engines known as the Hemi. Introduced in 1951, it was the only engine fitted to the first 4 models of the 300 series which were produced for just 1 year. It was discontinued after the 1958 300D, in which it produced 380 horsepower from 6.4 liters when equipped with 2 4-barrel carburetors. Optional fuel injection raised the output to 390 HP, the highest ever achieved by a Firepower. It's important to note that this is a gross figure, measured without the accessories that reduce power and are necessary for the engine to function in a car. The net figure, used starting in 1972, would have been lower, though still well over 300 horsepower. Chrysler RB400 GP gross. The RB was a large V8 offered in capacities up to 7.2 liters, but the most powerful version fitted to a road car measured 6.8 liters. It was used in the 1960 300F, where it typically produced 375 gross horsepower. Customers could opt for a 400 horsepower version, paired with a 4-speed manual transmission instead of the usual 3-speed automatic. The highest gross figure for a 7.2 was 390 HP. The max wedge variant reached 420 HP, but it was intended only for drag racing. Ford Mel 400 GP gross. The Mel, Mercury Edsel Lincoln, was Ford's rival to the Chrysler RB. In its 7.0-liter version, it easily produced 360 HP, which was the standard output for the Mercury Park Lane. In 1958, however, Mercury offered an upgraded version with 3 2-barrel carburetors. Known as the Super Marauder, it developed 400 HP and was available as an option on all Mercury models sold that year. Oldsmobile Rocket 400 HP gross. In 1970, the last model year of the first-generation front-wheel drive Toronado, Oldsmobile introduced the optional W34 package to increase the power of its second-generation V8, which had reached its maximum capacity of 7.5 liters. The standard V8 developed 375 HP, which could have been considered sufficient. The upgraded camshaft and dual exhaust system included in the package raised this power to 400 HP, and to sweeten the deal, Oldsmobile added special transmission calibration for faster acceleration. Cummins B Series 420 HP. The first and only 6-cylinder diesel on this list is a 6.7-liter unit from the long-running B Series family, supplied by Cummins to Stellantis for its heavy-duty Ram trucks. The standard output version produces 370 HP and is available on the 2500 and 3500 models, but the 3500 can also be equipped with the high-output version, which develops 420 HP, 10 more than the 6.4-liter gasoline Hemi 5.8 from the same range. In terms of torque, the high output far surpasses the others. It reaches 1,462 Nm, well beyond the 1,156 Nm of the standard version and the Hemi's 583 Nm. Chrysler Hemi 425 HP gross. Originally intended for racing, the first Chrysler 5.8, officially called a Hemi, nicknamed the Elephant, was later available in several Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge road cars. Notably the aerodynamically bold Dodge Charger Daytona and Plymouth Superbird, as well as in the Swiss-built Monteverdi High. With a displacement of 7.0 liters, it always had a gross output of 425 HP, although in 1971 Chrysler and Plymouth also published a more realistic net figure of 350 HP. Ford Fe 425 horsepower gross. The FEV8 made its debut during the 1958 model year when the 5.9-liter version was fitted to several models produced by the ill-fated Edsel brand. Two 7-liter variants arrived later, the most powerful of which was known as the 427, even though its displacement in non-metric units was actually 426 cubic inches. The 427 was available in two power levels, the higher being 425 horsepower. In this form, introduced in 1964, it powered the Ford Galaxy and Fairlane, as well as the Mercury Comet, Monterey, and Park Lane. Ford Godzilla 430 horsepower. The Godzilla is a gasoline V8 introduced for the 2020 model year with a 7.3-liter capacity and has since become available as a 6.8-liter version. It is fitted to larger vehicles where its power is generally under 400 horsepower. The only exception is the version used in the Super Duty Series F trucks, classified as heavy duty. In this application, the 7.3-liter Godzilla produces 430 horsepower and 660 Newton-meters of torque. Chevrolet Big Block 450 horsepower, gross. Chevrolet has been producing Big Block V8s since the 1950s, though they have been used more for utility vehicles than passenger cars. In 1970, the 7.4-liter version normally developed 360 horsepower, but it could be boosted to 450 horsepower as an option on that year's Chevrolet Chevelle. Another member of the same family available today is the 10.4-liter ZZ632, which produces 1,004 horsepower net and 1,191 Newton-meters of torque, but it is a crate engine not installed in any production model, so it is not included in this gallery. GM Duramax 5.8, 470 horsepower. The L5P became the new member of the 6.6-liter Duramax FIV8 turbo diesel family in 2017, producing 445 horsepower at 2,800 RPM and 910 pound-feet at 1,600 RPM. For 2024, it has been increased to 470 horsepower and 1,234 Newton-meters at the same revs. It is fitted to two very similar heavy-duty pickups, the Chevrolet Silverado HD and the GMC Sierra HD, the latter being more or less identical to the former but with different badging and styling details. Ford Powerstroke 500 horsepower. Also known as the Scorpion, the 6.7-liter Powerstroke Vive 8 turbo diesel was introduced in 2011, replacing a previous 6.4-liter engine in the same family, and has gradually become more powerful. Its 475 horsepower and 1,428 Newton-meters were the best in its class, and a high-output version arrived for the 2023 model year with 500 horsepower and 1,632 Newton-meters. The high output comes standard in the most sophisticated limited versions of the F250, F350, and F450 Super Duty trucks and is an optional upgrade in other trims. Cadillac Blackwing 550 horsepower. Codenamed LTA, the Blackwing was a 4.2-liter twin-turbo V8 briefly available in the Cadillac CT6 luxury sedan. In the CT6 Platinum, it produced 500 horsepower and 781 Newton-meters, while a more advanced version fitted to the CT6V developed 550 horsepower and 870 Newton-meters. Introduced in 2019, these two models lasted only until the CT6 lineup was discontinued the following year. Today, Cadillac produces Blackwing versions of the CT4V and CT5V, but none of them or any other vehicle use this engine. Chrysler Viper 645 horsepower. The Viper V10 engine was only ever used in the Dodge Viper sports car. At its launch in 1992, it was already a formidable 8 liters, but its capacity was gradually increased over the years, finally reaching 8.4 liters. Power and torque also rose, reaching 645 horsepower and 816 Newton-meters in 2015. Ford EcoBoost, 660 horsepower. Among the many Ford engines carrying the EcoBoost badge, the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 is by far the most powerful. For road applications, the ultimate version was fitted to the final models of the Ford GT with an output of 660 horsepower and 748 Newton-meters of torque. Even higher figures have been reached, but only on GTs built specifically for the track and not for the road. Ford Modular 760 horsepower. The most powerful engine in the modular family is also the most powerful ever installed in a production Ford. Known as the Predator, the 5.2-liter supercharged V8 develops 760 horsepower and 850 newton-meters and has only been installed in the 2020 Mustang Shelby GT500. Another version called Carnivore debuted in the 2023 F-150 Raptor high-performance pickup. Developed for off-roading, it is slightly less powerful, 700 horsepower, which is still more than reasonable, but offers a higher torque of 870 newton-meters. Chevrolet small block 772 horsepower. Among the many Chevrolet Fi8s bearing this name over the past 70 years, the most powerful fitted to a production car was the supercharged 6.2-liter LT5, introduced in the 2019 Corvette ZR1. Its standard output was 755 horsepower, but it reached 772 horsepower when equipped with the optional performance intake system. As of this writing, no mid-engine Corvette from the current generation produces such power, but that could change. Third-generation Chrysler Hemi 1025 horsepower. The SRT Demon 170, the seventh and final last call special edition of the Dodge Challenger, was powered by the most monumental production engine in Hemi history. If running on E85 fuel, the 6.2-liter supercharged V8 could produce no less than 1,025 horsepower and 1,285 newton-meters of torque. With E10 fuel, the numbers were still astonishing: 900 horsepower and 1,102 newton-meters. At the launch, Chrysler stated that production would be limited to a maximum of 3,300 units, with 300 being sold in Canada and the rest in the United States. Seline LM 1,500 horsepower. All versions of the Seline S7 were equipped with a 7-liter engine derived from Ford's Windsor V8. Power varies greatly depending on the degree of forced induction, but the twin-turbo version is said to reach 1,300 horsepower. This claim was superseded by another in 2019 when Seline indicated that output had been increased to 1,500 horsepower and 1,806 newton-meters of torque. SSC V8, 1,750 horsepower. The Tuatara hypercar produced by SSC North America, formerly Shelby Supercars, is powered by a mid-mounted 5.9-liter twin-turbo V8, with output depending on the fuel used. According to its manufacturer, it develops 1,350 horsepower with 91-octane gasoline and 1,750 horsepower with ethanol or methanol. A video released in 2022 shows the engine apparently reaching just under 1,900 horsepower on Nelson Racing Engine's test bench, although this is not an official figure. With a performance upgrade, and only when running on methanol, the V8 is said to be capable of reaching 2,200 horsepower in the Aggressor variant. But this is a track-only car, with performance that SSC's website states is not possible in road-going versions of the Tuatara. Hennessy Fury, 1,817 horsepower. The Hennessy Venom F5 is available in 4 versions: Coupe, Roadster, Revolution Coupe, and Revolution Roadster, with the first and third sold out as of this writing. All 4 models are powered by the Fury engine, a 6.6-liter twin-turbo V8. In every configuration, it produces 1,817 horsepower and 1,622 newton-meters of torque, making the Venom F5 the most powerful non-electric production car not only in the United States, but in the global history of the automobile.